Canto 5, and it is the yoga of the king. The king is Aswapati. And in the yoga of the king, we find that this is actually Sri Aurobindo speaking to us, not Aswapati. That's just a surname that he uses to speak of himself. I'll begin now with the line, "And yet a greater destiny may be his." Well, Sri Aurobindo is talking about us. And if we just go a few lines before that, we'll see that he is calling us a thinking being in an unthinking world, an island in the sea of the unknown. He is a smallness trying to be great, an animal with the instincts of a god. Here we are. His life, a story too common to be told. So, his deeds, a number summing up to naught. His consciousness, a torch lit to be quenched. This is the normal humanity, normal humankind. And so we begin today, and yet a greater destiny may be his, for the eternal spirit is his truth. And what is the eternal spirit? Capitalized S. Capital S. Well, Sri Aurobindo tells us in one of his letters on yoga, the spirit is the consciousness above mind, the Atman, or self, which is always in oneness with the divine. And in the synthesis of yoga, he tells us, spirit is the crown of universal existence. Matter is its basis. Mind is the link between the two. Spirit is that which is eternal. Mind and matter are its workings. Spirit is that which is concealed and has to be revealed. Mind and body are the means by which it seeks to reveal itself. What can man do? Back to the lines of Savitri. He can recreate himself and all around, and fashion new the world in which he lives. He, ignorant, is the knower beyond time. He is the self above nature, above fate. What is the self? Capital S. Look, he has three capitals in one line. Self, nature, fate. All of these are the essential words used in the integral yoga. So, Sri Aurobindo writes in a letter on yoga, the self is being, not a being. By self is meant the conscious, essential existence, one in all. This is the great truth now dawning on the world, that will is the thing which moves the world, and that fate is merely a process by which will fulfills itself. Now, he has a long explanation of the word fate, and it's another letter on yoga, and I want to share that with you because it's very different from the Western concepts of what fate really is. So he begins, the Indian explanation of fate is karma. We ourselves are our own fate through our actions. But the fate created by us binds us. For what we have sown, we must reap in this life or another. Still, we are creating our fate for the future, even while undergoing old fate from the past in the present. That gives a meaning to our will and action, and does not, as European critics wrongly believe, constitute a rigid and sterilizing fatalism. But again, our will and action can often annul or modify even past karma. It is only certain strong effects called utkata karma that are non-modifiable. What are these effects of utkata karma? Murder or suicide. Mother tells us that either of these would take 7 lifetimes to wipe out the karma. Very strong statement. His soul, this is Aswapati's soul, retired from all that he had done. Hushed was the futile din of human toil. Futile, having no effect at all. Din, loud noise of human toil. How true that is. Forsaken wheeled the circle of the days. In distance sank the crowded tramp of life. The silence was his sole companion left. We have to look at this word silence because it's an extremely important term in the integral yoga. So from Letters on Yoga again, I'll quote you a few of Sri Aurobindo's comments. Silence is a state in which either there is no movement of the mind or vital, or else a great stillness which no surface movement can pierce or alter. In complete silence, there are either no thoughts or thoughts come, but they are felt as something coming from outside and not disturbing the silence. Well, this is extremely important for all of us, because constantly from the cosmos, there are thoughts always trying to enter our mind. They can be vital thoughts, desire, action, challenge. They can be mental thoughts. I have to do this tomorrow, you must do this tomorrow. But they are not our thoughts unless we accept them into our consciousness. We have to be aware of that. We have to always be aware of these thousands of, what shall we say, beings, asuras, rakshasas, pisachas, constantly trying to get into the human mind or vital. So, silence It is from the silence that the peace comes. When the peace deepens and deepens, it becomes more and more the silence. Back to Savitri. Impassive he lived, immune from earthly hopes. A very important line. If one is not impassive and one is consumed every day by earthly hopes, problems, challenges, likes and dislikes, dualities, then there can be no silence. Impassive he lived, immune, so he's immune. He's totally protected against earthly hopes. Why? Because he has to do something that no one else has ever done. He has to bring down the supermental. But in order to do that, he has to first appeal to the Divine Mother and invoke her to bring down Savitri. Savitri is an emanation of the Divine Mother. A figure in the ineffable witness shrine, pacing the vast cathedral of his thoughts, under its arches, dim with infinity, and heavenward brooding of invisible wings. He has risen very high. He's risen so high. He is a figure in the ineffable witness shrine. This is above mind, life, and body. It's above the spiritual consciousness. It's above even the overmind and some of the supermind. It's transcendent. So he's pacing the vast cathedral of his thoughts. Under its arches, the arches of the cathedral, dim with infinity and heavenward brooding of invisible wings. A call was on him from intangible heights. Indifferent to the little outpost mind, you see, he's not bothered by the mind anymore. He calls it a little outpost. And it is no more than that as long as we live in the ignorance. The ignorance which is part of our evolutionary journey. So first, when the divine created all matter through his Prakriti, his grand creatrix, there was an involution, and absolutely perfect and pure. But that involution, in order to have evolution, brought in the second phase. And in the evolution is where we are now. We have not yet transcended the evolution, because the evolution is filled with duality. We see hot and cold, good and bad, love and hate, all these dual aspects. But Aswapati is indifferent to the little outpost mind. He dwelt in the wideness of the Eternal's reign. The Eternal is another name for God, of course. But Sri Aurobindo tells us in Essays in Philosophy and Yoga, all is eternal in the eternal spirit. And each one of us is the whole eternal concealed. And then in the life divine, the eternal is our refuge. All the rest are false values, the ignorance and its mazes, a self-bewilderment of the soul in phenomenal nature. His being now exceeded thinkable space. Whoa. His boundless thought was neighbor to cosmic sight. A universal light was in his eyes. A golden influx flowed through heart and brain. A force came down into his mortal limbs, a current from eternal seas of bliss. He felt the invasion and the nameless joy. Sri Aurobindo tells us that this world was created only for one thing, bliss, Ananda. Aware of his occult, omnipotent source, allured by the omniscient ecstasy, he felt the invasion and the nameless joy. Now he has a letter from Savitri, letters on Savitri, in which he speaks to Amal Kiran, K.D. Setna, who was one of the greater yogis in the ashram, a brilliant mind, a poet, a writer of some 55 volumes. And he says to him, your statement that joy is just another word for ecstasy is surprising. Comfort, pleasure, joy, bliss, rapture, ecstasy would then be all equal and exactly synonymous terms, and all distinctions and shades and colors of words would disappear from literature. As well say that flashlight is just another word for lightning, or that glow, gleam, glitter, sheen, blaze are all equivalents, which can be employed indifferently in the same place. One can feel allured to the supreme omniscient ecstasy and feel a nameless joy touching one, without that joy becoming itself the supreme ecstasy. I see no loss of expressiveness by the joy coming in as a vague, nameless hint of the immeasurable, superior ecstasy. Let's look at that statement for a little bit. First of all of us have experienced joy. There's no question about that. We've all had moments of joy. Have we had moments of true ecstasy? Perhaps when we had an experience that was above the body, mind, and life. It was an experience that took us so high. Some of us have experienced that. So let us continue on with these lines. Aswapati, it used to be written Ashwapati, but Sri Aurobindo later chose Aswapati without the H. A living center of the illimitable. widened to equate with the world's circumference. Wow. He turned to his immense spiritual fate. And what does he see? Abandoned on a canvas of torn air, a picture lost in far and fading streaks. The earth-nature's summits sank below his feet. See, he's so high now. He's seeing everything from that great height. He climbed to meet the infinite more above. And now the immobile, silent, ocean silence saw him pass. An arrow leaping through eternity suddenly shot from the tense bow of time. A ray returning to its parent sun. So now he's united again from the divine, from where he came originally. Because when the divine chooses an avatar or a vibhuti, he sends them down from the formless into form. And when we take form, we are always liable to duality. Error, falsehood. He is no longer there. He is a ray returning to its parent sun. But something happens now, and this is very, very important, and we'll go into it deeply. Opponent of that glory of escape, the black inconscient swung its dragon tail, lashing a slumbrous infinite by its force. Death lay beneath him like a gate of sleep. Mother tells us that originally she sent down 4 emanations. These were very, very powerful emanations. One was love. One was power. And I won't go into all of them. But they felt their power and they turned into the opposite. And that opposite is what we call the asuric forces, the dark forces, the negative forces that have degrees like Rakshasa, Pisacha, and of course, Asura. So he has reached that height, and suddenly this force is swinging its dragon tail, lashing a slumberous infinite by its force into the deep obscurities of form. So we talked about form. Form is this earth and this humanity. We can say that a mass of clay is simply inert. But taken into the potter's hand, it can be made the most beautiful vase, the most beautiful work of art. So the formless takes form. We were all the formless. And we took form, but for what reason? And this gets us into the deep, deep question of why would man take birth? So the first aspect Sri Aurobindo speaks to us about is the cults and philosophies that say you're only here once. There is no coming back. Oh, this is Christianity. This is Muslim philosophy. You die and you go to heaven or hell. Or you die and you've got 70 virgins waiting for you. But what is the reason then for taking birth? Why would you want to take birth in a human form when all you're going to do is have one life experience and then go into heaven or hell? Now others say there is no heaven or hell. You can just merge into the infinite, moksha. What good is that? And this is where the word evolution takes great importance. Why did we come to Earth? If we're going to leave Earth forever. This is why Mother and Sri Aurobindo came. They came, as all avatars come, to lift the earth to a new dimension. We know that Christ came and he brought love to the world. We know that Krishna came. We know that Rama came. And then we have all these vibhutis who came. One of them, of course, was Abraham Lincoln. And there have been many that you all know. So, Ashwapati is one-pointed to the immaculate delight. Immaculate, undefiled, free from moral blemish or impurity. Questing for God as for a splendid prey. We have this wonderful poem, and I've been studying many of the great long. But it's about the divine chasing man. I fled him down the days and down the nights. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways. Oh my gosh. And finally, of course, the divine catches him and he's taken up. So Ashwapati now, he mounted burning like a cone of fire. To a few is given that godlike rare release. One among many thousands never touched. I have a recollection of a question a child asked mother, a student actually. When the 70,000 people were killed in the earthquake in Peru. And the child said to mother, weren't at least a few of these aware of their psychic being? Mother answered her, very few are aware of their psychic being. Wow. That should humble us. To a few is given that godlike rare release. One among many thousands, never touched, engrossed in the external world's design. Now, that's so powerful because almost all of us are engrossed in this external world. We have the attachment to family. We have the experience of education. We have the experience of living in some place. And everything seems external. Very few of us go within every day and contact the psychic being, which is placed behind the heart. We have to remember it's in the center of the chest, but it's behind the heart. There's a beautiful line in Savitri much later on where the mother puts a little being behind the heart. And that is our psychic being that we have to find. So, one among many thousands, never touched, engrossed, consumed by something, or devoted fully to something, engrossed in the external world's design, is chosen by a secret witness eye. That witness eye, that word eye, is capitalized because it's what some of us know or have read, that is the third eye in the center of the head. That witness eye that sees everything without the need of the mind trying to put parts together to make a whole. So that witness eye is extremely important. And driven by a pointing hand of light across his soul's unmapped immensitudes. Now, this is a word coined by Sri Aurobindo. And he writes, I take it upon myself the right to coin new words. Immensitudes is not any more fantastic than infinitudes, to pair infinity. Every word in Savitri is mantric. We have to remember that. And that's why I enjoin all of you to read Savitri out loud. Because if you read it silently, yes, you can gain something, but you don't have the experience of the mantra entering into you. It's a very, very important point. So, one among many thousands never touched. And this is the, what is it now, 9 billion people of the world who are never touched. There are only few of us who have even heard of Sri Aurobindo, and even fewer who have even heard of the supramental. Very few. So, one among many thousands never touched, engrossed in the external world's design, is chosen by a secret witness eye and driven by a pointing hand of light across his soul's unmapped immensitudes. His soul is so vast now that you can't even map it. You can't describe it even. This is Sri Aurobindo. This is our Lord. No one has sacrificed more than he and the mother. And when he was asked about that, he said, yes, I have sacrificed for you, and mother 10 times more. A pilgrim of the everlasting truth, our measures cannot hold his measureless mind. He has turned from the voices of the narrow realm and left the little lane of human time. He calls human time a little lane. Wow. What is this time? And since we have only 5 minutes more, I'll read to you from a letter on yoga of Sri Aurobindo about time. Time and space are not limited. They are infinite. For us, time is not infinite. I have to do this tomorrow. This is happening next month. So-and-so's birthday is coming. Everything we understand in terms of limited time, but not Sri Aurobindo. So I'll read the whole passage. Time and space are not limited. They are infinite. They are the terms of an extension of consciousness in which things take place or are arranged in a certain relation, succession, order. There are again different orders of time and space. That too depends on the consciousness. As we rise in our consciousness, time and space take different meanings at each level of our ascent. So he says the eternal is extended in time and space, but he is also beyond all time and space. Timelessness and time are two terms of the eternal existence. The spaceless eternal is not one indivisible infinity of space. There is in it no near or far, no here or there. The timeless eternal is not measurable by years or hours or eons. The experience of it has been described as the eternal moment. But for the mind, this state cannot be described except by negatives. One has to go beyond and to realize it. In the hushed precincts of a vaster plan, he treads the vestibules of the unseen. We know what a vestibule is. It's also called an antechamber. It's between the outer door and the interior parts of a house or building. So he's treading the vestibules of what? Of the unseen. In the Mandukya Upanishad, Sri Aurobindo quotes, "The unseen, with whom there can be no pragmatic relations, unseizable, featureless, unthinkable, undesignable by name, whose substance is the certitude of one self, in whom world existence is stilled, who is all peace and bliss. That is the self. That is what must be known." He treads the vestibules of the unseen, or listens, following a bodiless guide, to a lonely cry in boundless vacancy. All the deep cosmic murmur falling still, he lives in the hush before the world was born. His soul left naked to the timeless one. Far from compulsion of created things, thought and its shadowy idols disappear. The molds of form and person are undone. The ineffable wideness knows him for its own. And I will stop there for today. Our time is up. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, if I can, from Sri Aurobindo and Mother. Yes.
It's a very basic question.
A little louder.
It's a very basic question. I'm very early in this work. Supramental, can you explain in a simple terms?
Okay. There are levels of consciousness. The first level is where we are. Body, life, and mind. The second level is the spiritual realms of consciousness, beginning with the higher mind, the illumined mind, the intuitive mind, the overmind, and then above that is the supermind. There's your answer. So far to go.
Where can I read more on this? Where can I read more on this?
Where can you read?
More on this.
More on this. Oh yes, very, very easily. You can look up Supermind in Letters on Yoga, where Sri Aurobindo explains a lot about the supermind. He also does the same in The Life Divine, this great book of his. So, good question. Anyone else? A little louder, please. Something that was linked to what?
His use of the metaphor Savitri and Satyavan.
Savitri and Satyavan are not metaphors. They are actual beings. And he says we can come into contact with them here on earth. Savitri is very simply an emanation of the Divine Mother. And we can contact Savitri. We can contact Satyavan. Satyavan is Sri Aurobindo. Aswapati is Sri Aurobindo. He has written the greatest epic in the English language. In fact, it's the longest epic in English in the world. There is no longer epic. And I study many, many of the greatest poets of the world. And I will be having classes with people in Pondicherry on these great poets, mystical poets, such as Rainer Maria Rilke, Goethe, and others. Even the great poets that Richard Burton has read. These are extraordinary experiences to have. One can live in them and live in the beauty of their words. Yes, certainly.
Have you made a compilation?
A little louder.
Do you have a compilation of all the words and the meanings that people did? Create?
Yes, it's called the Lexicon of an Infinite Mind. It's available in the ashram bookstore. I can't hear you.
Yes, that evolution is why we are here. There was this point.
The evolution, very good, is
we are
exactly why we are here. There would be no other reason for being here if we were just going to live one life. Shankar has said that it took one lack of lives for us to be here in the human form. One lack of lives. And Sri Aurobindo was asked, when we pass away, how long does it take before we take birth again? And he said, generally, only 2 years. Only 2 years, and we take a new birth. And people are afraid of death. Why? It is an eternal coming and going. Yes, ma'am.
In Savitri, is Sri Aurobindo showing us all of reality, all of the vital world, and then beyond that, everything, all his own experience?
Absolutely. And he has experienced it all. And in Savitri, beginning with the World Stair, the next book, 2, he climbs this stair and sees all the different levels of experience of these worlds that are above our world. So there's the little mind, there's the greater mind, and all of these things he explains. He even goes down into the darkest parts of existence to bring the light there. All of this is explained, and we'll be taking it up in the next 15 cantos of the book of the World Stair.
And why does he not use the terminology of like the Vedas, like all the stuff that as Indians?
Oh, no. He certainly does use a lot from the Vedas. And A.B. Purani, whom I knew and who helped with this, was a Vedic scholar, one of the greatest Vedic scholars. In fact, Mother said that Purani was now in the supermind and he was playing with it. Imagine that. So, any other questions?
I didn't formulate fully my question, I noticed.
Okay.
Because my mind is like, okay, evolution is why we are here, and then it comes like, but why? I mean, like, why is this needed?
Why is evolution needed? It's a good question. There are so many philosophies that do not accept evolution. No. You got one shot, one chance, and you go to heaven or hell, or you go to some other experience, or you have moksha. You're liberated. You're totally liberated. But for what reason? Well, Sri Aurobindo tells us that the earth is the home of the divine. This little planet, he calls it a midge sometimes, is destined to hold the divine. The divine life is going to manifest here, and that's why there is evolution. In today's news and notes, I wrote an article on the importance of the Om choir. For me, in Oroville, and for the world, there is no greater experience than to be a part of the Om Choir. Why do I say this? Well, we have the opportunity to realize the oneness that we all are. Number one, we are all divine. Nothing and no one is not divine. Only we are hidden by so many veils of life. What are those veils, someone?
Ego. Ego.
Ego. Family. Education. Environment.
Nationalities.
What?
Nationalities.
Nationality can also be a veil. Very true. Those veils, Sri Aurobindo says, have to be rent. Rent means torn away. R-E-N-T, same word, different meaning. Torn away in order to realize the divine. And we are here to do exactly that. So, our work in life is of extreme importance. Firstly, we have to rise out of the ignorance. The ignorance which is always duality, good and bad, love and hate, hundreds of other dualities. We have to somehow realize the oneness in all of us. We are all one. Okay, there may be a female body or a male body, a young body or an old body. It doesn't matter. In each body resides the divine presence. In each body. Now, you say, well, what about Stalin, Hitler, all these people? Well, we have to see these beings from a much higher level of consciousness and see that they too must evolve. Everything has to evolve. I've quoted to you before the line in Savitri, which is very important. And in the worm foresees the coming God. Wow, that's evolution. Even the worm has to evolve, maybe become something higher eventually. Definitely. There is no transfiguration that goes backward. That was Pythagoras, but Sri Aurobindo does not accept that. We are all growing, we are all evolving, and the most important thing is to become aware of that. Mother said, and I've quoted this to you before, it is true that consciousness created the world, but love is its savior.